Hello once again, and we're going to be doing a video on how to build a computer. So what we're looking at is probably the most important thing about a computer is the motherboard, because this is where everything attaches to. So this is what we're going to be using. It's a gigabyte 78 LMT USB 3. This is what it is. It's a cheap motherboard, costing in the £40 mark. This is going to be a cheap PC build, by the way. It's not going to be anything special. Most of the parts I'll be using will be used parts. So let's have a look at the motherboard itself. So right here is where the central processing unit goes. This is an AMD processor motherboard, AM3 plus socket. So that's where that goes. So here we have four long, well, where the RAM goes, the DDR3 RAM. So let's have a look around. So this is your main power, where the main power goes. IDE, if you got IDE hard drive. 6 SATA ports. Obviously to connect your hard drive on your DVD, CD-ROMs. Pinouts for your USB. One for your USB 3. This has got USB 3 on it. So this is your front panel, and this I don't know. This is for your front audio. Right here, it's optional if you want to put in a graphics card. That's known as a PCI Express port. PCIe for smaller cards if you want to put it in, and this is an old PCI slot if you got older, for older cards, maybe old sound cards or whatever. So let's have a look at this will be the rear of the motherboard when you put it in. So we get our mouse and keyboard port, USB 2, VGA, I think that's DPI port, they never really get used, HDMI, USB 3, 2 more USB 2s, internet, LAN, whatever you want, and 3 additional audio in, audio out, and microphone. What else can we see around here? Obviously there's a lot of things to know, but obviously you've got ports like this where you put your CPU fan, and I can't see any other additional fans. Usually they do have fan fan port so you can plug your fans in, but obviously you can't see none. It does come with a manual, so always consult your manual before you start building. And also with a motherboard it comes with the rear plate that goes onto your case. Old IDE ribbon, and a couple 2 SATA connections port leads to obviously connect to your hard drive and DVD-ROM. So we've had a look at the motherboard now. So what attaches to the motherboard? It's the CPU. This has been used, of course. This is an AMD, I think it's a Athlon or something like that, I don't know. Was it a Sempron? I honestly can't remember, but it's AM3 plus, so it will fit. So that goes there, which one we'll be showing you. And obviously to cool it you need your heatsink and fan. And what we got from RAM is 4 gigabytes of memory. Obviously goes in there. And right, so that's the motherboard cleared. So what else do we need is, obviously you need a DVD drive to install your operating system, whatever you want to install. For hard drive or solid state drive, we got a 60 gigabyte King's Fast solid state drive. Also you need a power supply unit. I've done a review on this one. I think it's a 700 watt power supply unit. It's a cheap one, so don't put too much load in it. And obviously we need a case, which we've got here. Obviously used, like all the other bits besides the motherboard, which is brand new. Yeah, so I think that's all the parts. If I have forgotten any parts, I will put them in later. But I think these are all the key components at the moment we need. Obviously we need a screwdriver, which I've got. And the first thing I'm going to show you is how to put the processor in. Right, so we're going to install the CPU. And what you've got to remember, well, with AMDs anyway, see that? You see that little gold arrow? It's got to be facing the top there, going towards the right. So you can see the little numbers there, so make sure it's like that. And you just open this little bar here, so that moves. Make sure it's in properly. Then you put the latch down, make sure it's fully down, so it's tucked under there. So that's your CPU installed. Now, once your CPU is installed, we now put the cooler in, as we can see up here and down here. This is your whatever it is, the clips. So here we are. This one's a little bit different, this cooler. This usually has a latch, but there's no latch on this, so what we got to do, make sure it's in that clip there, and also push it down. If it goes down, oh, it's difficult. Oh. There you go. So that's there now. That's fully. Right. There you go. So see there. Spin it around if we can. And it's in the latch that side, in the clip. Both sides, so it's pretty secure. Won't fall out. And what we do with this, we'll put it in here, where the CPU fan is. Got to line it up. There's two notches there, so they get lined up with the plug, so you can't put it in the wrong way or do something stupid like that. So that's in. So then now the next thing to do, so we're going to install the RAM. Here's your RAM. There's a little notch there, and there's notches here. Make sure the notches meet. And we just also put it in the first one, not any of these. If you've got more RAM, then you put it in the second, third, fourth, like that. So there we go. You should be doing this when you insert the motherboard into the case first, but I'm just showing you this way so it's easier to show. So there you go. There's your main motherboard with the processor and the RAM installed. So the next thing is to install it into the case. So next thing I'm going to do now is install the power supply unit. Here we go. So there's two ways, or depending on the case. You mount it on the bottom if it's a newer case, but obviously we can't mount it on the bottom, so we've got to mount it on the top, because this is an older case. So what you do, make sure that the fan is facing down. Always do it with a label towards you. Put it in its place up here, and you get this. What we're using thumb screws for this. line up the holes. So it can be a bit of a pain, but there you go. Once you've lined one up, you'll have no problem lining all the rest up. Don't tighten all the way yet, just put all 4 screws in. And the last one. Now you can tighten them all up. You can use a screwdriver, because you're supposed to use screws. It always comes with screws, but I'm using thumb screws because it still works. There you go. So that's the power supply in. As you can see where at the back where the screws are. So next stage, I'll be showing you to put the motherboard in. Right, before you install your motherboard, you have to put in standoffs. So, see these gold things here? These are known as standoffs, and you've got to line them up. Look at your motherboard, and obviously line them up, and obviously, and you'll know how many standoffs you'll need. This has got 8. I've just done that, and when you put the motherboard in, it should line up flush, and obviously we're going to have to put our plate in first, so we're going to do that now. Now the next task is to put the screws in your motherboard onto through the holes into the standoffs. You've got to push it. There you go. So you do that with all 8 screws. I'm going to pause the video because you can't probably see it properly. Right, so we've inserted the motherboard and the power supply unit. So, right, next things now is to basically put in the drive. So what we got here is the front, and what we're going to do now is put in the hard drive and the DVD-ROM. So the DVD-ROM is pretty easy. All you do, sometimes you have to take the front panel off the case, but this occasion we don't have to. Make sure it's lined up with the front, and also when you look at the side, because you have to line the screws up like that. Let's have a look. See. Yeah. Can you see that? Yeah, you can see the. Yeah. So when you go back, just put it back a bit so you can line the screws up. I just certainly put a screw there, and to the other side. So we're going to do that. Don't need to wash it. Right. So we can see we've got the screws in there. So we got that one on the side. Spin the case round. You can see it's even. And 2 screws the other side. So now what we can do, it's time to install the solid state drive, hard drive, whatever you want to call it. But this is a 2.5 inch. So 3.5 inch would be the standard size, but if you're buying a solid state drive, they are in 2.5 inch. So we've got something for it. So we got this. It's I've done a review on this. So you can put a 3.5 inch floppy disk drive or whatever. This is a card reader. So what we're going to do is basically just install. If I can do it with one hand, it's quite difficult. Just put that in like that. I don't know if I've got it in the right way or what. Maybe I'm supposed to put it in that way. I can't remember. I think it's that. Oh, I think I got it right the first time. Oh, so just put that in. If it's wrong, I'll correct it. So that just clicks in like that. So that's we'll just go in that way. I think that's the right way, I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure it's the right way. So that goes in like that, and once again line 4 screws up and repeat the process. Right, so we've got all the main components in the computer now. Right, so the next step is to connect everything up, and this is where you will have to consult your manual. Obviously some are obvious, like the big thing that plugs into there, into the motherboard there, and the CPU plugs into over here. Fan connectors I don't know yet. I have got a fan controller in this, so I don't have to worry about if it, I'm surprised there ain't no fan connectors on the motherboard itself, only the CPU. Yes, we got connect the SATA ports down here. I can't see that, but oops, your SATA ports, so that goes into your hard drive and your CD-ROM, DVD-ROM, whatever you want to call it. So that'll be the next step. As I say, or you will have to consult your manual. So next thing, I will connect it all up. I won't show you a video of that because no really much point. Because as I say, if you ain't done it before, you will have to consult your manual. But the obvious things is the SATA port that plugs into your hard drive. So I'm going to leave it to it and wire everything up. Right, it's all wired up and ready to go. So we can see it up there. SATA goes into under all these wires here. SATA on your motherboard, which you can't bloody see. There you go. So SATA 1 goes there, and that's into the solid state drive there, and all the power, SATA power up there, plugged in. Notice that I don't know if that's going to work actually. I put a speaker there, but trouble with these speakers, this speaker, it don't tell you if it's plus or minus, so I don't know if I've got it the right way. But the thing you will have to definitely consult the manual about is the front panel, because that is really hard to do if you don't know what you're doing. So like it explains to you in manuals where certain wires go, because this always baffles me. That's what I had doubts about this when I first built a PC, but it's pretty easy once you go by the instructions. But rest of everything is self-explanatory really, you know. The front audio goes into its port over there. USB headers, you can see them. Yeah, somewhere. There you go, can you see that? I don't know. There. Trouble with all these wires is really hard to. Right. There you go. Is that right? No, something don't look right there. I'm sure it is though. No, that one's wrong. Oh dear. See, I've already made a mistake. You have to line them in the holes, and I haven't done that. Right. Get in there. There it goes. So make sure they're in the holes properly. Line them up. Yeah, there you go. But everything's all plugged in now. I have put an additional USB 3 in there. The case itself is old, so it doesn't have USB 3, only USB 2. Obviously I haven't plugged that in because it only accommodates 2 USB things, and this needs to accommodate a third one. But it doesn't matter because I've already got a card reader there, which I've got lots more anyway, plus an additional USB. These 2 USBs are wired up. That's wired up into the front audio. But now it's the moment of truth. will it fire up? It has got our Windows operating system already installed on it. Right, so let's switch it on. Is it going to fire up? Oh, what's happened? Oh, that's a bit dodgy. That just spun, stopped and then spun again. So let's hope that keeps spinning, because that is the most important fan on the computer, the CPU fan. If that stopped working, the CPU will overheat and blow up. And that'll probably blow the computer up with it. What's going on? Oh, it's booting up. Yes, it's booted up. Installing the devices, right. Okay, that's awesome. First time I did a video and it works. I'm very happy about that. Yep, that's just installing the devices, because it's got to accommodate this new motherboard. Because the solid state drive was installed with another motherboard. So obviously it's taking them files out and putting all the new ones in. Being Windows 10, it installs all the updates on its own. Yeah, so there you go. That's how you build a computer. Pretty easy, isn't it? Well, if you know what you're doing. Well, it's easy. The only thing I've got to work on is cable management. But there you go. It works. So all I have to do now is wire a couple of additional fans in, which I've got anyway. It's on the side panel there, but one that's all ready to go. And very happy. Yeah. So there you go. A cheap PC. Yeah, if you want to build one, I would recommend building one. It's not as hard as you think. Can be a bit daunting at first, but once you get used to it, it's easy. I mean, must have built about 10 computers now, and yeah, it's not really a big deal, just a few issues here and there. But, well, with building this, there was no issues. It's the only time I've built a computer with no issues whatsoever. Worked first go. Anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Till next time, and goodbye.